What began as what appeared to be a narrowly averted cash-in-transit robbery has since unfolded into an extraordinary and politically explosive saga that has sent shockwaves through law enforcement circles and the broader political establishment, leaving even the most seasoned investigators grappling with the implications of what they uncovered after police intervened at the very last possible moment and prevented millions of rand from vanishing without a trace. At first glance, the operation looked like yet another violent highway ambush. The kind South Africans have tragically grown accustomed to as cash-in-transit attacks escalate in both frequency and sophistication. But that initial assessment quickly unraveled as the investigation progressed and revealed layers far more complex and troubling than a routine criminal heist. If this story matters to you, make sure you subscribe to the channel now and turn on notifications so you don't miss any breaking updates. The sequence of events began when alert officers noticed a suspicious vehicle closely tailing a cash van along one of the country's busiest transport routes. Behavior that immediately raised red flags given the prevailing climate of organized robberies targeting armored vehicles. Acting without hesitation and aware that seconds often separate prevention from catastrophe, the officers executed a swift maneuver that forced the suspect vehicle off the road, resulting in the arrest of those inside without a single shot being fired. An outcome that was initially hailed as a textbook example of decisive and effective policing. Praise, however, soon gave way to unease when routine searches of the suspects and their equipment uncovered communication logs, coded messages, receipts, and handwritten operational instructions that did not align with the known patterns of established criminal syndicates. Instead, pointing toward an operation that was unusually structured, methodical, and insulated, suggesting planning and backing far beyond that of common highway gangs. As investigators from SAPS began peeling back the layers, digital forensic teams uncovered phone numbers linked to encrypted messaging platforms with data trails leading alarmingly close to individuals connected to structures within the African National Congress, an association that immediately shifted the case from a criminal investigation into a potential political crisis. Background checks deepened those concerns when it emerged that two of the suspects had previously been employed within municipal departments governed under ANC leadership and more disturbingly appeared to have had prior criminal records inexplicably scrubbed clean despite earlier intelligence reports linking them to questionable activities, reinforcing long-standing suspicions that political protection may have been extended to certain individuals operating in the shadows. The investigation took an even darker turn with the discovery of an encrypted electronic device that contained meticulously detailed financial records outlining transactions between offshore shell companies and local intermediaries believed to function as political operatives with transaction patterns that bore striking resemblance to those flagged in previous corruption probes involving the misuse of state resources and figures said to be close to President Sir Ramaphosa's inner circle. These findings alone were enough to alarm investigators, but the presence of documents marked as sensitive and restricted heightened the sense of danger, indicating that someone with significant authority not only anticipated exposure, but may have actively attempted to control or limit access to this information, raising serious fears of suppression and interference by powerful figures intent on containing the fallout. As the implications of these discoveries rippled outward, investigators began questioning why a cash-in-transit robbery would be linked to political structures at all, prompting theories that some such robberies may function as parallel funding mechanisms for internal political factions at a time when legal donation channels are tightening and scrutiny of party finances has intensified. Whistleblowers speaking anonymously alleged that certain ANC leaders have historically relied on criminal syndicates during periods of funding shortfall and that President Ramaphosa was aware of these arrangements but chose to remain silent in order to preserve fragile alliances within the party. Claims that regardless of their ultimate veracity have ignited intense public outrage and deepen an already pervasive mistrust of political leadership. Opposition parties moved swiftly with both the Democratic Alliance and the Economic Freedom Fighters demanding that the president step aside to allow for an unfettered investigation, framing the unfolding scandal as a test of accountability and the rule of law. Behind closed doors, senior police officials reportedly warned that the case has the potential to become the most significant corruption investigation since the era of state capture, even as immense political pressure mounts to quietly bury the matter before it detonates further. Inside the ANC itself, panic is said to have spread rapidly, with emergency meetings convened at Latuli House exposing deep and painful divisions between factions calling for full transparency and those warning that such openness could fracture the party beyond repair, threatening its electoral future and internal cohesion. As leaks continue to emerge and political analysts speculate openly about possible resignations, suspensions, or dramatic leadership reshuffles, President Ramaphosa's continued silence has only intensified suspicion, fueling widespread speculation about a looming leadership challenge and unsettling many South Africans who view the lack of a clear and decisive response as deeply troubling in light of the gravity of the allegations. Meanwhile, investigations remain active and expansive, with forensic teams continuing to trace encrypted communications, follow complex financial trails across borders, and quietly prepare cases that may soon result in further arrests, possibly involving high-ranking individuals whose exposure could trigger a seismic political upheaval. The prospect that a narrowly thwarted robbery could evolve into a scandal capable of reshaping South Africa's political landscape for years to come underscores the profound stakes of the moment, as the country watches closely to see whether truth and accountability will prevail or whether power and influence will once again succeed in muting a story that threatens to reveal uncomfortable realities at the heart of governance. If you found this video informative, like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us bring you important stories as they happen. See you in the next update.